Tameka's books are, some of them are, they're very culturally specific, but some of them are also historical in nature. So Tameka, you got it?
You're not just teasing us, are you? Are you going to leave us again?
Yeah, I'm not leaving again. I was clicking. I was thinking I was clicking the thing that said, you're accepting that it's being recorded. And I clicked that and I would just keep clicking and I just kept clicking myself out. How are you all doing this evening?
We are great. We had a technical problem at the top because we always like to come on exactly 7. So we were like 3 minutes late, which we never, that never happens, but sometimes things happen. We had to actually start over. We had to close the Zoom and everything and start over because we couldn't get it to go live stream. So anyway, Tameka, welcome back to the show. And congratulations on your 2 books that you published since you were here last. One of them focuses on Shirley Chisholm.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is called That Flag. Is it That Flag? Yeah.
Correct.
So do you have copies of your books with you?
I do. I have them sitting right here.
I know. I thought you would.
This is Not Done Yet, Shirley Chisholm's Fight for Change. Of course, this is about the phenomenal Shirley Chisholm. And it's a picture book written for the youngest readers because it's written a poem, a narrative-free verse poem. And we focus on her fighting spirit, how she's always had it, and how that translated to her finding her destiny, in a really unique way. So that's that one.
Okay.
And this is That Flag. And it's about best friends, Kira and Bianca, who end up divided over the meaning and significance of the Confederate flag.
That's a pretty heavy topic for a children's book. How did you attack that?
Well, the fact that I used the friendship structure was really what allowed me to, I think, be able to pull off writing it for a younger age group. So we're talking about the emotional impact of things like the Confederate flag. And so just having that friendship structure and dynamic and using language and situations that kids could relate to, that's the way I went about it.
I will say this, that if you're able to break this type of conversation down so children can respect each other and have a real conversation about it, that may be a great example for adults to be able to do the same thing. Because adults, we get very polarizing on certain subjects. So if you're able to break this down for kids to understand, this could be something great for adults.
I'm glad you said that because that is the feedback that I've been getting.
Wonderful.
I've been hearing from educators, library specialists, and parents. And they're all saying that same thing. One, that it is allowing them to have a conversation with their children and that the children can understand it in ways that they may not have been able to understand it before. And then I got adults saying that it made them cry. It impacted them. They wish they'd had it when they were young. Somebody said it wasn't until they were in college that they were able to transform their thinking because they hadn't been exposed to any other information besides what they had been being fed, which was not grounded in like the true real meaning of the Confederate flag. So yeah, I'm hearing that this is a book from not only the younger readers, but all the way through 12th grade. I got people saying I'm gonna use it with my middle schoolers, I'm gonna use it with my high schoolers, and I'm gonna share it with my 77-year-old mama, stuff like that. So yeah.
So what made you talk about the Confederate flag as a symbol for children, to explain it to children?
Mm-hmm. I actually first wrote this book in 2015, following the Charleston church shootings.
Okay.
And if you remember,
that long ago?
It was that long ago.
Yesterday. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was that long ago.
It was.
And if you remember, immediately following that, there was this big public debate because the murderer, the shooter, he was seen in social media waving, that flag, a lot of pictures with that flag. And so there was this public debate about whether or not that flag was really a hate symbol or associated with white supremacy, or was just about Southern, heritage and pride. And I was like, the fact that we are still having this conversation, people are actually, truthfully, I'm honestly acting like they don't know the difference. I was like, I need to write this story for our children, because that's what I do. And I need to set the record straight so that they don't grow up not really knowing and understanding the history of this flag, how it came to be, and still what it's being used for, who's using it today, and how they're using it. And so, so that is what motivated me. But when I wrote it in 2015, nobody bought it. Nobody wanted to buy it. My agent at the time didn't even want to send it out. I have a different agent now. But so it took until 2020 for the publishing industry to be ready.
To catch up.
Yeah, to catch up. Exactly.
That's interesting. And it's not for everybody, but one of the reasons that I self-publish is because if you're doing something controversial, you don't have to wait for somebody to give you a green light, because you could be waiting forever, because some people are never going to be comfortable with stuff that's uncomfortable.
That is true. I mean, fair, very fair.
And it's almost fair that they feel that way, because you have to really be brave to stand out on your own these days. Because if you have an opinion that is different from the masses' opinion, social media will attack you. I mean, we're seeing that now with the young lady who played, who was one of the champions.
Oh yeah,
LSU.
Yeah.
She did this. You disagree with the masses, they're coming for you.
Yeah.
Social media wasn't like that in the early days.
Oh, it really.
I can remember being able to have like 2 or 3 day conversations on topics that could be controversial, but people were more intellectual or just had better manners,
right,
and had respect for other people's opinions. Now nobody seems like, I don't even really say what I think about most things anymore, because one, I'm not going to have to defend my opinions when they are what they are.
I'm not arguing with anybody.
Right. I'm not arguing with anybody.
I'll give you a perfect example today. I don't know if you saw my Facebook yesterday when I said, are y'all still arguing about the John Cena move? And John Cena made this popular. And a couple of people one person came to my page right away and said that it was a rapper, and I don't remember the man's name, Tony somebody. But he actually created the move. And I didn't know who he was. So I looked it up and I found a video where John Cena talked about how he got the move from this rapper, Tony. And I posted it to the page, or I posted it to the thread. And I said, yes, you are right that he's not the one who created it, but he's the one who created the "You Can't See Me." And then somebody decided to come on my page this morning and say, no, it was popularized by Tony so-and-so. And I said, I know that. Please scroll up so you can see. What I'm talking about. And then he said, well, you're still wrong, because John Cena stole it from him. I said, dear, I'm going to let you have this. It is 7:30 in the morning. It is way too early for me to be arguing with you.
You're better than me, because when people come on any of my pages saying something crazy, and don't let it be the book festival's page.
Oh my goodness.
I will ban them immediately. And I've had some people say, and sometimes it's Black people, sometimes it's white people, but they say different things. The white people will say that it's racist to have a National Black Book Festival.
Yeah.
This is so ridiculous. And the Black people, some of them will want to put a diatribe on about something that some radical person said in the 60s or whatever, and why we shouldn't be. It's like, I don't need your opinion. If you don't want to see it, don't look at it. Scroll, say you don't want to see it. Put it on mute, whatever you do. But I don't need to be preached to or anything. You're really wasting your time. But anyway, it's difficult to have
very brave
any kind of
be able
conversation.
to stand on your truth when you know it's going to be a polarized
Attack.
truth.
Right. Now, have you gotten any negative feedback?
Not as much as I had expected to have by at this point.
That's good.
Maybe a couple of little reviews on some of the sites. A couple of people may have said some things, but even those weren't as as terrible as I was expecting. So not yet. It's still early in the book's life, and I'm bucking up to I don't for whatever comes.
Well, maybe you don't have to worry about it. Maybe you have started a positive conversation, so that could be the case as well.
Yes,
and maybe too, from the cover, you really can't tell.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, unless a person actually reads the book,
mm-hmm.
they really,
And one of the things that the feedback that I've been seeing, and when you write something, you put it out there, you know what your intentions are, but then everybody's going to receive it based on however they receive it. Yeah. And so I have seen some reviewers who were white who said that they thought the way I handled it didn't elicit white guilt. So,
but did they want it to, or were they glad it didn't? No,
that particular person was glad it didn't. They thought that it might make certain people more receptive to the message. It ends on a note of hope. You know what I mean? Not rainbows and sunshine kind of hope. We don't tie it up in a bow like that, but we do leave the possibility open, for hope. I don't want to give everything away.
Well, no, that's a good point, because one of the arguments against teaching intersectionality in schools is that it creates white guilt, or that they feel it. I'm not going to say it does. They feel that it creates white guilt, and parents will say, "I don't want my 5-year-old child feeling guilty about something she had nothing to do with." That's the argument that many parents have.
And I don't think that argument has any legs, because they're assuming that the child is going to identify with the white person who is doing the wrong things, historically speaking, the oppressive things. They don't identify with them. I have a little video that I posted on my Facebook about this little boy who found out in school, that the white killed Dr. King. And he was upset with the white, and he was going to get some payback. And his mom said, son, you're white. You're like, it wasn't me. So, they don't identify with that. So what I think it is that the parents don't want their children to come back and maybe ask some tough questions of them that might make them feel some kind of way.
I hear you.
But it's not about the kids, because they are open and they want to know the truth. That's why they ask a million why questions all day long. They want to know the truth, and they are natural critical thinkers, and they will ask you the tough questions. And I think that is what people are afraid of. Certain people.
Very much critical thinkers.
Yeah.
Well, facts shouldn't make you feel guilty unless you are guilty.
Unless you want to do those types of things.
But facts, you can't argue with the facts. Yeah. I mean, you can, but facts are still facts. So if you feel guilty, unless you're complicit, then, you know, you shouldn't feel guilty.
Absolutely.
But some people aren't, you know, they're so fragile that they, you know, I don't believe you can't claim that you can run everything and then you're fragile.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't be both
Mm-hmm.
hard as nails and fragile.
Mm-hmm.
So you should be able to accept facts about our history that are just factual. And there's been some really tough, very horrible, really just terrible things that have happened to our ancestors. And but everything wasn't terrible. And that's one thing I really want us to have a little bit more balance. I'm not referring to slavery because there's really hardly any balance there that you can find. But you know, in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, in that period, there was a lot of positive that doesn't get enough exposure in the way people present it. It's like every day people were living like the movie Mississippi Burning, like every day was like that. And it just wasn't.
Right.
So, you know, so we need a little bit more balance, but the facts are what they are and they speak for themselves. So,
yeah.
Well,
I do want to hear a little bit more about the Shirley Chisholm book.
Yeah, and that's why I was wondering, do you actually get to go to the schools to read your stories to the kids and actually discuss the stories with them?
I've had school visits with, not done yet, Shirley Chisholm's Fight for Change, and also the other book that came out at the same time, 12 Dinging Doorbells, which is about Black family gatherings. So I've done those. I have yet to do a school visit on that flag, but I am anticipating that I will be doing that as well. And in fact, HarperCollins has just created an educator guide that they should be posting fairly soon, that will help, you know, educators, media specialists, parents, caregivers to use the book with their children.
Oh, that's amazing. Is that something that you created, or was that something that HarperCollins said, you know what, I think we need this to go with the book?
Yes, HarperCollins contracted with a person who does this, you know, on the regular for their job.
Okay.
And yeah, so yeah, HarperCollins created it. And I'm very thankful because it's an excellent educator guide.
That's wonderful. And it's a great way to highlight the book, but then it also starts the conversation with the kids. And you never know what type of change you're going to effect.
Yes, and it helps those adults who want to have the conversation, like teachers, educators, but they don't know how. They fear, they're afraid of it. Now the kids aren't afraid, but they are. The educator guide will kind of hold their hand and help them, you know, to do that. So, yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about the Shirley Chisholm book, and why did you choose her as a subject? She's an interesting subject, of course, in history, but what made you choose her to write about for children?
Yeah, well, that one happened. Somebody brought that idea to me. It was like in 2017, and there was this editor who had posted a tweet, or tweeted rather, and that she was interested in a picture book about Shirley Chisholm. And then I had an author friend like tag me in that. And then I was doing all my happy Black joy books, and I was like, I don't think nonfiction is my lane. So I was like, I don't think so. But the idea never left my head. And I started researching her, and I read her autobiography, and I watched the videos about her. And then I recognized, you know what? She reminds me of my grandmother.
Wow.
Because like my grandmother, she didn't have her level of education at all. They were opposite on that. But that no nonsense attitude, you see it all over their face. That was my grandmother. And then on the flip side, like they were funny and they liked to laugh. But then it was that time when it was time to be serious, they're not playing the radio. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, I just felt a connection. I was like, yeah, I gotta try to write this. So yeah.
Well, it's good for children to know that someone else ran for president even before President Obama.
Right.
Absolutely. And also not just her first, because, and we do mention all of her first. She was the first Black representative for Brooklyn, as far as it being an assemblywoman. She was the first Black woman elected to Congress. And she was the first Black person or woman to seriously run for the presidency. So those were all of her first. But beyond that, you know, we frame the book, we use the refrain, not done yet. Because as a change maker, she was never content to just settle for, you know, one thing or sit on her laurels. She would do something, she would, you know, great, but it wasn't enough. She was a change maker at heart. And so she was never done yet. And she just kept doing all these things. She started out as an educator, you know, for an early childhood educator. And then she got involved in a political club, a local political club, and she used her voice to speak out and make change in there. And from there, she just kept going and going. And so she, you know, her spirit, where she didn't like to be bossed from when she was a baby, it never left her. And that's what made her the type of maverick who was not beholden to the political powers that be, because that wasn't what motivated her. She was about her people, and she was about the things that she felt were important, which was childcare, education, healthcare, you know, all those types of things. So yeah, that's kind of how we frame the book. And we also consider it like a call to the young reader. You know, this is how you do it. You use your one voice to speak up for what you believe in and make change. So that's how we have framed that book, and that's why it's called Not Done Yet.
Okay, well, Tameka, we're near the end of our time. Can you show us the 2 book covers again so people can know what they're going to be looking for when they go to buy your books?
Yes.
That flag is
flag.
Beautifully. They're both very beautifully illustrated.
Yes, by Nicholas Smith. He's the illustrator for this one. He did Born on the Water, the 1916 projects, Born on the Water. And
okay.
Yeah. And this is Not Done Yet. And it was illustrated by Nina Cruz. And she did a fabulous job with this. It's amazing.
Okay. Well,
your links in the chat, because there are people who are asking how they can get both of these books, because you have very beautiful stories. I mean, Shirley Chisholm is a hero to many, because she showed bravery at a time where it wasn't cool to show that type of bravery.
Absolutely.
So thank you for keeping these stories alive. Thank you for starting this conversation with our young people, and maybe they can make a difference as they get older. So,
absolutely. And thank you for letting me share these 2 stories with your viewers.
okay. Congratulations again. And we'll see you probably next year when you do another book.
All right, sounds good. I'm still repping, y'all.
Oh, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, you have a great evening.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.